Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of The Other Side of Addiction. I'm here with the lovely Janessa. Thank you, Janessa, for your time and for travel.
Yeah,
for coming in.
Definitely
We also,
worth it.
yes, it is worth it, isn't it?
Yeah.
I get stoked every time we get to come into the studio because this is like one of my favorite times.
Me
But
too. It really is.
we want to say thank you to our platinum sponsor, Matter Behavioral Health. So thank you guys for your love and your support and for believing in what we are doing here. We have a real cool special guest for you guys today. We have Leonard Lee Buschel. Did I say the last name right? Buschel?
Yes, you did. Buschel.
Buschel. Awesome. So, Leonard reached out to us and said, hey, we would like to be a guest on your podcast. And I started checking some of the stuff out that he had. And I didn't even hesitate. I'm like, oh, hell yeah. Yeah, we're going to have Leonard on the show for sure. And we thought it was going to be really cool because of what I know of Leonard. I've been reading his book. He sent me a copy of his book, which I am very, very grateful for. It is actually called High, and it's the Confession of a Cannabis Addict, which I thought was a pretty cool title.
Yeah, very intriguing.
Very intriguing, right? And I started reading it, and I didn't get really far into it because I'm such a slow reader. My wife even said, well, maybe I should hurry and read it because she could probably get like 3 chapters in about a half hour. But we want to use this. We're actually going to use this as our anniversary because we've hit 1 year of being on the air. Thank you so much, Leonard. So, Leonard, my gosh, I know you want to talk about the book and you want to talk about life, and there's some things in here that I've got dog-eared already. I've got highlights in, but just let our audience know a little bit more about yourself, if you would.
So I'd be happy to answer any questions about myself or the book,
Okay.
or the process, or sobriety, or drug addiction. I love it all. I started out in the middle of the 20th century in Philadelphia, and it's a great place to be from. And it was a great place to have grown up. And I wanted to say that you're not asking me if I have any messages, but I do have 2 messages.
Okay.
One is, if I can stop using drugs and drinking, I would like to think anybody can. Anybody can if they want to. It's easier for some people, more difficult for other.
Yeah.
And I think anybody can write a memoir. Anybody can write a memoir. It's just the question of sitting down and doing it. And you don't have to write it all in 6 months. This took me more or less 10 years.
Oh,
it
wow.
feels like I wrote it in a week because it's just, it reads very smoothly. It's like, it's considered a page turner by most people who've read it. There's a lot of photographs in it. It's very funny. A lot of sex scenes, something for everybody.
Yeah.
And it's just a question of little by little. I don't want to use the cliche, one day at a time, 1 page at a time. I don't know if you're familiar with the great actor Joey Pantoliano, who won an Emmy for his work on The Sopranos. He's been in 100 movies.
Okay.
He wrote a book called No Kidding, Me Too. And he was the one who first said to me, he says, if I had to sit down and think, I have to write a book, you get nowhere. But if you sit down and think, I have to write a page, I have to write out a page today. And then 2 days later, you write out another page and another page, and you type them up and you start to, and it happens little by little, but it does end up with a 224-page book if you just persevere and don't quit.
Wow.
So I would think, someone had said to me the other day, they said they read the book and they stopped smoking pot for 4 days in a row. And they were shooting for their it was a radio host, and we were doing a show like this.
Mm-hmm.
He said, "I'm trying for 5 days," and he said, "What do you think will happen?" I said, "Well, if you get to the 5 days, and you get to 6 days, and you get to 7 days, you're going to start to feel like you're growing up. You're going to start to feel more mature." I think, and I'm all for marijuana and hashish and MDMA. I'm a fan of it all if it's used in moderation, if it's used consciously, if it's used safely. But I think people still are smoking pot after 20 or 30 years because they started when they were young, and the act itself makes them feel young.
Mm.
And if they quit, they would suddenly feel 20 years older. It's just the theory. I haven't checked it out with too many people, but that's what it did for me. It's like, oh my God, I'm now a grown-up. I'm not, sitting in my bedroom rolling a joint before going out to a concert.
Yeah.
Or wherever. And I know in the last 2 years, people weren't going too many places, but you could smoke all the pot you want and work from home. So that was wonderful for people who still enjoy it and still get off on it. I just think in general, it's sort of like a pacifier. I don't think you get high on it anymore. It doesn't make you feel bad. But that's not the point of even my book. The book was to leave something for my 2 sons as a testament to explain to them who their father really was, or really is. I'm still not sure if this is who I was, or if this is who I am, just 30 years older.
Mm-hmm.
That's complicated.
Yeah.
I did it to show people that you don't have to stay addicted to drugs and alcohol forever. And I did it to show them, as I said, who their daddy was or daddy is. I never had one.
Yeah.
So it's a whole new experience to me.
Because you lost your father, from what I read in the book, you lost your father at an early age, right? I mean, he died of a heart attack. Was that it?
Yeah. I was born into a very wonderful, loving, middle-class family. They just bought a house with an affordable mortgage. My father was working full-time. My mother was a housewife. She had my brother who's 3 years older than I am. And then when I was 3 weeks old, 21 days old, my father dropped dead of a heart attack on his way home from work. And my mother went insane.
Of course, yeah.
My mother was, in shock, grief-stricken beyond belief. Imagine a 3-week-old and a 3-year-old, and your life and your husband and the breadwinner and the father of your 2 children is gone. So she had a conniption, to say the least.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And her and her body reacted by having her milk ducts close up
From all the stress.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, from the stress and the grief and the shock. So I went from 3 weeks on Easy Street at the Fountain of Youth, and then cut off.
Wow.
So I don't know if I took to the bottle really well, but I've always thought, I got 86th by my first bartender.
Yeah. Yeah, no kidding.
And I think every time I go into a tavern and I sit on a bar stool and I order a drink and the bartender just brings me a bottle, it's like it was as if it was, making good on the promise of being nurtured by a woman.
Yeah.
And that worked for many years. I think the reason why a lot of businessmen don't mind flying a lot is because when you're sitting there in your seat and there's a little, and it feels like a high chair, you know, the little plastic table
Yeah.
that comes up. It's you're sitting in a high chair, and women are bringing you food. So I think in a way it reenacts being in a high chair, having a woman bring you food.
Well, I never thought of it that
Yeah,
way,
I
but
know, same with me.
right.
Well, I
But
have a lot of
that's
free
a good
time.
way.
I have a lot
Yeah.
of free time on my hands. Oh,
It's a really cool perspective.
it's
though.
obvious to me. It's obvious.
Yeah.
Some things are obvious to me and not obvious to others. But hopefully they're in the book. And at some point before we end, I'd like to either ask you to pick out a part for me to read, or I'll find something to read, because it really, I'm very proud of the book. It came out in many ways better than I had anticipated.
Yeah.
You know,
And you know, Leonard, when you guys were so kind to send me a copy of this book, and I wanted to start reading it as soon as I could, and I haven't gotten too far in it, but it is very, very interesting just what few pages I have read of it. And something, I mean, I knew about the heart attack from your father at such a young age. I also knew that you had some issues with your heart, and then that you had asthma, which I found kind of, I don't know if it was intrigued or what, for someone who was addicted to cannabis, and then you have an asthma. I would have thought that it would have really made things a lot worse. And then also one thing, and I've got it highlighted here, and I wanted to make sure, I love the part here where you said, the highest you can be is when there is nothing between you and reality. Reality is the ultimate natural high, is more exciting than any drug-induced roller coaster ride. And I just, for some reason, that just struck me. I mean, I got goosebumps on my arm right now, just even reading that, because I thought that was a very interesting sentence that you put in there.
well, to me, it's like being a tightrope walker with no net. You know, the expression performing without a net.
Yeah.
Because with drugs, you always come down. With alcohol, you always, you know, sober up the next day. But with this thing, this abstinence thing, I mean, nobody lives like this except monks and Mormons. And you're in Salt Lake City, so you probably know some people that don't drink or do drugs. Hopefully it helps them become a better person and more in touch with the Almighty, whoever, whatever that is.
Yeah.
Whoever she is. And it is, my son used to remind me, he used to say, and I hope he was getting the quote right. He said, Timothy Leary's always said, the point is not to get high, but to be high. And you can't come down from this.
Yeah.
This
When you're
is
high on
really-
life. Yeah.
This is a trip. This is like the curtain opens and there is no backstage, except maybe in your prayer and your meditation and like you said, your walks in the woods and up into the mountains and feeling nature embrace you with all of its glory. I just happened to find this. I'm thinking, for years, I had the habit of always flying with an apple, just to remind me when I'm up there in a little aluminum tube, you know, at 30,000 feet, being propelled through the air, you know, by an engine that I sort of don't quite understand how they work. I know how the wings work, but I would have to have an apple up there to remind me that I'm an earthling and I'm not a spaceman. And the apple and the taste of the apple and the feel of the apple, it's magnificent. You know, just
Helped you
one
be
good apple
grounded.
can make my day.
Yeah. Like Janessa said, it makes you feel grounded.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know, it,
Yeah,
so on February 18th, our family lost our dad. And my mom lost her husband. And I remember before he passed, we were there in the hospital, and he was on oxygen, and they decided to take the oxygen off of him because that was pretty much kind of what was keeping him alive, was oxygen, because he had that disease where I think it was called pulmonary lung disease, where his lungs were hardening, they were crystallizing. But when we got to the hospital the second morning that we were there, and they had taken the oxygen off, and he ordered some water and a cup of coffee. And I remember when that nurse brought that cup of coffee into him, and he grabbed that cup of coffee and he took a taste, and he was like, oh my gosh, I never, ever thought I would ever have an opportunity to taste another cup of coffee the rest of my life. And when he said that, I was sitting in a chair next to his bed, and that light bulb went off about how grateful I am that I get to wake up and have a cup of coffee every morning. And here he was laying in bed, knowing he's going to die, didn't think he was ever going to taste coffee, just something that simple. He didn't think he was ever going to taste coffee again. And it pops in my head quite a bit now in the mornings when I have my cup of coffee, how grateful I am of something so tiny that we all take for granted every day. Like what you're saying with that apple, it helps me realize we are here on this earth, and we've got a lot of things that we can take advantage of, and just be grateful for, even something as small as an apple or a cup of coffee.
Well, it brings you to the present. You're
Yeah.
living in the moment, being like, wow, I'm here. I'm sitting here drinking coffee. Life is going.
Life is okay.
Life is all right.
Yeah.
I think it's in the book, but I feel that way every time I hear the album by Miles Davis called Kind of Blue. Whenever I'm listening to that, I think, how many more times will I be able to listen to this music on earth? It's how many more times before I die will I be able to listen to this? Because I think it's one of the things I'll miss in the next world.
Yeah.
Music, and specifically Kind of Blue. It just moves me in such a way that it reminds me of my mortality every time I listen to it. So I tend not to listen to it that often.
Oh, wow. Really?
When I do, it's very emotional.
Make it special.
But it's special. In fact, it was when for a time, my brother and I were at odds with each other, weren't talking. And I remember maybe, God, it must be 25 years now. I got a call, and it was him. And he says, I thought you'd want to hear it from me and not from some disc jockey, but Miles Davis died. And since that day, we've been close again.
Wow.
Because we bonded over that.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I had a friend with me, and I said, we grabbed the transistor radio. Remember transistor radios?
Oh, yeah. I remember those. Yeah.
Boom box, if you will. And we went out to the park because I knew the local station in San Francisco, K-Jazz, would be playing nothing but Miles, for the next couple of days. And we went out to the park and laid down on a blanket, and we saw a shooting star. We saw a shooting star. And I thought, that's like Miles saying goodbye, or that's his last composition.
Yeah.
Or, and the star flew across the sky in a silent way. It was just obviously memorable. I smoked a lot of pot, but I had a pretty good memory somehow.
Yeah.
I'd like to think I had some extra brain cells to donate to science.
There. I like the way that you put that. And I can see why you're so grateful too, Leonard, because I read in the book here that, you dealt drugs in that for like 25 years, right? I mean, you were living
23,
23.
to be precise.
Okay.
Wow.
You were living on the edge of your seat continuously.
I'd like to think it keeps one awake.
Yeah, I bet it does.
And it keeps one from abusing alcohol, because nobody wants to deal with a drunken drug dealer, because it doesn't feel safe.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't feel safe to give somebody 50 pounds of pot to drive somewhere if you think they might be stopping for a beer somewhere.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
you stay off alcohol. Smoking pot and doing coke, that was like mandatory.
Huh.
You know, you didn't trust them if they weren't smoking pot and doing coke, but drinking was verboten.
So that was like
So-
forbidden. You just
That's
don't do that
interesting.
when you're dealing the other two.
No, you don't. I guess in the privacy of your own home or a hotel, but not while you're actively engaged. And
Yeah.
if you're a drug dealer, you're actively engaged a lot. Although I would have to take vacations just to calm my nerves. And I know that's in the book. You know, Jamaica was a great place for that. You know, not only did they have great pot, they have amazing beaches and water and music.
Yeah.
And now that I live on the West Coast, I don't get to Jamaica the way I used to, and I miss it. And, you know, I probably will never go again, but I appreciate it, the time I have there. And if you're on the East Coast and you're looking to go swim and dive off cliffs and eat great food and listen to great music, you know, Jamaica is a great place. And they speak English. It's fantastic.
Yeah. So how many times did you go to Jamaica? Sounds like quite a bit.
3 or 4 that I can recall. I can
Okay.
3 for sure. 3. Whenever I would start dating a new woman, we'd go to Jamaica.
Oh. All right.
It's a romantic hideaway. 1,
Yeah.
2, 3. I was counting up the times.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so Salt Lake City, I drove through there once, and I did go to see the choir on Sunday.
Oh, the Tabernacle Choir.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's like going. It's like you can't go through Arizona without going to the
To the temple.
no, Arizona.
Oh.
To the Grand Canyon. No.
Oh, there's
To
the
the
Grand
Grand
Canyon.
The Grand Canyon, you can't go through Salt Lake City. It's your main tourist attraction, right?
Yeah.
Well,
Wonderful,
don't
yeah.
let the Mormons hear that.
Yeah.
It's the main, yeah, magnificent.
You know,
I used
Gosh.
to say, people ask me, did I go to college? I said, yeah. They said, where'd you go to college? I said, to Brigham Young and Brigham often.
oh.
It's-
that's a good one, Leonard. I like that one. we have jokes. So, you know, we have the University of Utah here, and a lot of people are University of Utah fans. And BYU is just south on the other side of the point of the mountain, as we like to say. But we have quite a few jokes over here on this side of the point of the mountain about BYU as
Oh,
well. But
Tons.
oh yeah, there's
There's
tons,
a lot.
tons of them. But yeah, you'll get a lot of jokes.
Mhm.
So at a young age, I mean, if I remember going through your book, you just kind of started connecting with some older guys, right? And you just kind of fell into that,
yeah,
I guess, that part where you had something that you felt like you could do and you were good at it.
I don't remember what age I could cross the street alone, but as soon as I could, I crossed the street and went around the corner to a candy store where there were always guys hanging out, you know, talking about sports, talking about gambling, talking about illegal activities, talking about women, talking about films, talking about politics. You know, when I got home from school, there was no one there because my mother, after my father died, obviously had to get a job
Yeah.
to pay that, what started out to be an affordable mortgage when my father was alive. Suddenly she's got to pay the mortgage, and so she's out at work every day, 5 days a week. And I was a latchkey child. I didn't know that expression growing up, but I had a key and went home every day. Got bored, nothing to do. Hated afternoon television, which was one of my first addictions, was television, but not during the day. So I guess they call it acting out. I like to set fires. I like to steal. I had a 22 caliber rifle that I would like to shoot little moving objects. No dogs, no cats, but anything else that moved. And then going to the candy store, where I started betting on sports, and went to the racetrack a lot. So gambling was probably my first most destructive habit, and sugar and the Coca-Cola. That meant a lot to me. That's one of the cheapest antidepressant on earth.
Yeah.
Bar of chocolate is fabulous. And the little Coca-Colas, remember those?
Oh, I remember those as a little boy going and visiting my grandma and grandpa. They lived in a small coal mining town, and they had one of those things like you see in the movie. You walked up these wooden steps up along this little boardwalk, and there was a little tiny post office and a little tiny grocery store, and they had one of those little teeny Coke machines out there for 10 cents. You could buy one of those little bottles of Coca-Cola. Because go ahead.
No. I was just starting to fantasize about the bottle of Coke with the liquid, right?
Oh, yeah. There's little ones with the liquid in it, the wax ones.
No, I'm talking about on the outside of the bottle, because they kept the machine so cold.
Oh, yes.
It's very refreshing. They were selling sugar and disguising it as they were selling. It's very refreshing.
Yes.
And I like to be refreshed a lot, in case you haven't.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's what pretty much kind of got you all into this I do remember reading in the book that your mom was always busy. You kind of just started taking on some of your own stuff. You wouldn't go hang out at the candy store every day, but it was quite often. And things just started progressing from there.
And you had a brother, right?
I have a brother.
Was he at home with you, or is he out doing his own
sent to
thing?
boarding school.
Oh, wow.
At a fairly young age. So, that might have been like a warning to me, like I better behave, or else I'm going. And it wasn't a boarding school for bad kids. It was just it's a very famous orphan. It's not quite an orphanage. It was a very incredibly high-end school for fatherless boys.
Wow.
In Philadelphia, started by the man who financed the War of 1812. His name was Stephen Girard. Stephen Girard was one of the earliest, wealthiest men in America. And he built this school. It looked like Rome. It's amazing. It's still there. He built a school for fatherless boys to be able to attend and live there for zero cash. It was completely free. And then when you graduated high school there, it was the equivalent of having been in college for 2 years, because it was a very demanding school. And my mother thought it was a great idea. It was like, she didn't do it to punish him, although he ended up sort of being punished there. She did it for his own good. But that's where the lucky thing was, because I had a heart condition and asthma, they wouldn't accept me. She did try and get me, but they said, no, your son's too unhealthy. Between the heart condition and the asthma, we can't be responsible. So I got to stay home with mom, hang at the candy store, eat Breyer's ice cream every night, watching television with her. But I wanted to go back to the candy store for many reasons. I ended up naming my son after the owner of the candy store.
Oh, wow.
That's how much the place meant to me. My son's name is Benjamin, and the owner of the candy store, his name was Benny Cooper. And I thought, it's a good name. Plus, I wanted to name my son for one of the most famous Philadelphians in the world, Benjamin Franklin,
Yeah.
who's on the $100 bill.
Yeah.
I thought this is like a good, like
Solid name.
just saying the 100 will make him feel like he's arrived because it's his name, Benjamin. But it was the guy at the candy store was the first person who lent me money to buy drugs to start dealing.
Wow.
So it was that underground money that seemed to be more accessible than retail, or being in the underground was very exciting. You could get
Yeah, I
anything
bet.
from anybody if you knew the right people. You know that expression, oh, can you get me? I know a guy who knows a guy.
Yeah.
I can definitely get you what you need. You can get
Well,
anything you need.
and it's all tax-free too.
It's not what you know, but who you know.
Yeah, it's not what you know, it's who you know. Yeah. Hey, we're gonna take a quick break and stay with us because Leonard's got some more to share, and we actually want to pick something out of his book, and would like you to read, Leonard, when we get back, if you're good with that. So, guys, stay with us. We'll be right back.
Have you ever been in a car accident? Do you know what to do after being in a car accident? Are the insurance companies going to take care of you? Hi, I'm attorney Rick Heaton with the Law Office of Bobby Udall. I will help you through the process and answer all of these questions. I give every single client my cell phone so they can talk to me whenever they need. Let me deal with the insurance company so you can focus on getting better from your injuries. Call me at 385-330-0226. Again, my cell phone number, 385-330-0226. Don't call the insurance company first. Call attorney Rick Heaton at 385-330-0226.
This is Gregory, owner of Lift Up Concrete, proudly serving the Wasatch Front for the last 12 years, lifting sunken flat work for both residential and commercial applications. Only fully trained professionals lifting concrete at your residence with the same quality of material and method used at every commercial job we ever do. Don't replace it, lift it. liftupconcrete.net, 801-792-4535. Contact us at liftupconcrete.net, or if you're looking for a complimentary quote, 801-792-4535. Again, 801-792-4535. Again, this is Gregory, Lift Up Concrete Lifting.
Hello, my friends. This is Brad Neufeld, and I want to thank you for tuning in to the Resilience Talk Network. You can listen to my show, Resilience, every morning, Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. On my show, we will be discussing what it takes for you to overcome the day-to-day challenges that all of us face in life, as well as some of the devastating ones that may lead us to feelings of hopelessness and despair. It's my goal to provide you with the tools and skills that you need to overcome anything that is thrown your way. To find out more about my show, visit our website at www.resiliencetalk.com. That's www.resiliencetalk.com. And as always, until we meet again, go for everything that you want in life and make it happen.
Hey everyone, welcome back to The Other Side of Addiction. This episode is brought to you by our platinum sponsor, Matter Behavioral. If you guys are looking for a different type of recovery center, these guys don't do much. I mean, they do the 12 steps, but it's not all 12 steps. It's more of what's healing inside you, which I think is really, really cool, because those who battle addiction are usually battling something inside. The addiction is just basically the Band-Aid. So if you guys are looking for a different type of recovery center, get a hold of Matter at 435-462-2781. And again, we want to say thank you to our special guest today, Leonard Lee Buschel. Thank you, Leonard, so much for being here with us. And we want to read a section of a chapter out of Leonard's book. But one thing that still just blows me away, Leonard, is with your heart condition and also your asthma, getting into the drugs with the pot, because you hold your breath, of course, a lot when you smoke pot, because I started smoking pot about 2 weeks before I graduated high school. And then I worked construction, and it was an everyday thing. You did it in the morning, you did it on the way to work, you did it during lunch, you did it on the way back to the warehouse, you did it on the way home. Yes, sounds dangerous. And I don't know if I know you said that you dealt coke, but even if you did coke, having a heart condition, because cocaine kind of contracts the blood vessels, so it makes it harder for your heart to pump, right? But it just blows me away that you had these health issues and still did all the years of dealing in that.
I'll tell you the truth, which is the only way I talk.
Okay.
With the truth. I was addicted to hashish.
Oh, all right.
In the early days, it wasn't marijuana, it was hashish, which in my distorted mind could actually help me breathe better. Certain hashish, there were like 6 kinds of hashish: red hash from Lebanon, black hash from Pakistan, and Nepalese temple balls, and Afghani opiated hash, and Moroccan keef. Some of them would give me an asthma attack. But I had one of those asthma inhalers that I would always have to carry every single day wherever I ever went. And other ones I think, oh, it's helping me breathe. The first time I went to Israel to score hashish, I remember taking a syringe and a vial of adrenaline, because adrenaline, if you had an asthma attack, the doctor would give you a shot of adrenaline.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And it would help. So I took over. I've never shot up anything. And I never, point was, I was thinking, oh, if I have an asthma attack, because it happens. I've been in at least 6 or 7 emergency rooms.
Wow.
I had a asthma attack brought on by extreme cocaine and Heineken use one night in Los Angeles. And at some point, the hospital called my mother in Philadelphia and said, Mrs. Buschel, you better be on the very next flight to Los Angeles, because there's a 50-50 chance of you'll be flying home with your son's body.
Wow.
I was in the hospital, unconscious for 2.5 days, brought on by cocaine and beer. And I thought I died. I actually thought I died. It's in the book. I don't even want to talk about it right now because it's too emotional. But that's how bad and I've been in many ambulances due to asthma attack, not in the last 27 years since I stopped getting high and drinking.
Wow.
I've managed it, so I haven't been hospitalized once, which is what we call out here in LA a mitzvah.
Yeah.
And a blessing. But at some point, I was afraid of white powders because of my heart. So people in my neighborhood, they did do speed. And then eventually cocaine came around. And I remember once being at my doctor's office and I asked him, I said, would it be really dangerous for me to do cocaine? And he looked at me, he says, not if you don't shoot it. He said, just don't shoot it. Because with your heart condition, there's a certain infection you could easily get from a dirty needle that would kill you. So he says, if you don't shoot it, you're okay.
Hmm.
And I thought, wow, that's like the seal of good housekeeping.
Yeah.
I left
From a
there
doctor.
and I walked a couple blocks to my friend Eric Levine's apartment, went up and said hi. I said, do you have any coke? He says, yeah, of course. I said, set me up some. And he put out the lines. And I'm trying to imitate here the sound of the razor
Hitting the
going
table.
through the crystals of cocaine. It was like, it sounded like the Mormon Tabernacle Choir. It sounded like John Coltrane and John Cage. It was just, I was intoxicated by the sound of the razor going through the crystals. And later when you get, when you end up using a credit card, it's a different sound. It's not bad, it's just different. But there's
Yeah.
nothing like the sharp metal. And I hope everyone out there is having incredible euphoric recall right now and turning off the show because you don't want to hear this. You don't want to be tempted. But I do believe in temptation. In fact, when I say the Lord's Prayer, lead me not into temptation, I change it to addiction. Lead me not into his temptation proves that you're strong. The temptation and you resist it makes you feel more confident. In fact, it's another story. But that started my 13-year career of using cocaine every single day of my life. Every
Wow,
day.
Every day.
Every day.
Holy cow.
Because if it's good on Monday, it's going to be good on Tuesday.
Yeah, you got a
If it's good
point.
on Thursday, you should better have some for Friday. And don't take Sunday off, because Sunday you want to be more in tune with the universe, because it's the Sabbath. Or maybe the Saturday is the Sabbath. I don't know. Maybe every day is the Sabbath.
Yeah.
Where was that written down? Only Saturdays. No, every day. Point being that I was able to use cocaine every single day because I used it moderately. I
Got
used
it.
moderately, and I could not handle the idea of waking up the next day and not having any.
So that was almost like your energy drink then.
It was, I think in the book, it's like, I smoked my breakfast, I snorted my lunch, and I drank my dinner. And it's sort of like
Well put.
Yeah.
the food groups.
Yeah.
And you can maintain, I didn't specialize in one drug.
My dad had a good buddy who he grew up with, and they've known each other since they were old enough to walk, but we all used to go bow hunting together for mule deer. And when I got old enough to go on the hunt and hang out, do you remember the book Reader's Digest? So
Reader's Digest?
yeah, so there was a book Reader's Digest.
It came with the TV guide.
Yeah, it came with the TV guide. Yeah, that you used to wait patiently for it to come in the mail that I read in your book.
Yeah.
But he was saying that he called my dad partner, and we were up on the bow hunt one year, and we're here in the mountains, and we're sitting by the fire and just enjoying the outdoors. And Kenny had already probably had a 12-pack and a half in him, and he goes, partner, he goes, I read an article in Reader's Digest that one beer equals to 2 eggs and 2 strips of bacon. So he says, so I wake up every morning, I drink my breakfast. He says, it's a hell of a lot easier than cooking. I always got a kick out of that. But yeah.
I used to say Samuel Smith made a beer called Oatmeal Stout, and it was black. It was a black beer, and I thought, this is breakfast because it says oatmeal.
Justifiable.
It was smoother. It was easier to get down on an empty stomach.
Yeah, there you
Samuel
go.
Smith, any beer drinkers out there, Samuel Smith Oatmeal Stout. Really good.
No milk or sugar included.
No, it's healthy. No, it
Gluten-free.
doesn't have sugar. No,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
bad. That's bad. That's bad.
So Leonard, I definitely want to give you the opportunity to read something out of your book.
Okay.
What is it that you picked?
I really randomly picked, it says chapter 14.
Okay.
It says Young and the Restless. Starts with a couple quotes. I'll read one by Alan Watts. It says, the only way to make sense out of change is to plunge into it, move with it, and join the dance. Because people in AA is that, oh, everyone's afraid of change, afraid to change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid of change. Anyway, it says, only 2 people in my life thought I had a problem with drugs or alcohol. I was the potential third, but like a fish in water, it was so much my constant environment and natural habitat that I could not see the forest for the trees. It was right under my nose, if you get my snowdrift. Most highly addicted people don't even know that they're addicts, the way guppies don't know they're in water. Although I knew not everybody in the world used drugs, all the everyones I knew did. Years into my recovery, I became a regular at a marijuana anonymous meeting called Heads Above Water. It could have been called Head Out of Your Ass, or where there's smoke, there's brain damage. Eventually, I started an AA meeting, an MMA meeting in Sherman Oaks, California, called Alice Be Tokeless. Shortly thereafter, a group in Marin County adopted the same name. When I met Paul Mazursky, director of said movie, I told him about the 2 MA meetings named after his film. He did not look pleased, as if we were against pot. I said, no, we love marijuana, just a little too much. The 2 well-meaning commentators and would-be interventionists were my sister-in-law, Bettina, an artist and doctor of psychology, and Misty, a Marin County call girl. They were both experts in their fields. One was born in a penthouse, the other could have worked for Penthouse. I had Misty on a retainer for 7 years, and no, it wasn't to keep her teeth straight. Misty was worth every penny. At the Nouveau's Cafe at 10 o'clock one night, I was waiting for Misty to reconfirm an all-night session and call me on the payphone on the wall. When the phone rang, I leapt over a guy on crutches and knocked him over. My sexual satisfaction was more important than some athlete's broken leg to me. Misty could say anything to me. One day she said, you were doing a lot of cocaine before. Now I think you're snorting too much ecstasy. That's probably true, I said. The conversation was over, and that was the outer limits of my introspection. For the past 20 years, Bettina had said, every time I've seen you, you've been high on marijuana. I said, yeah, what's your point? In reality, I only got high once in my life for 26 years. I think people smoke pot to selfishly improve an already enjoyable moment or to dull an unpleasant experience. Does it do both? And if so, how does it differentiate between enhance and avoid? Probably the pot doesn't decide, the smoker decides and directs the drug to do whatever the smoker deems most appropriate. That probably means the pot contains no properties of enhancement or avoidance on its own. When a pothead has a good day at work, they smoke a joint when they get home. When a pothead has a bad day at work, they smoke a joint when they get home. So now the good day is not as good and the bad day is not as good. Weed is the great neutralizer. It takes the edge off, but isn't edginess next to godliness? If you're not living on the edge, you're taking up too much space.
I love it.
That's really
That
good.
is really good. And that's just like within the 3rd page of reading his book, the humor that's in it, the way he puts the words is just, I mean, yeah, it's awesome. And I also love, Leonard, that you don't hold anything back. You just tell it like it is. And I think, like you said earlier, that's the only way to be. And I do believe that's the way to be. And it's not to really put anybody down or discriminate anybody in any way. It's just, this is reality, right? I mean, just tell it the way it is. There's why hold things back?
Mm-hmm.
When I was working as a drug counselor every day, I tell my clients, I said, lying is worse than using drugs. if you start using drugs again, don't lie about it. But that's the sin. The sin is not getting high. The sin is not relapsing. It's lying. Lying is, I mean, I know there's a saying, I've never met an honest man. You can try.
Yeah.
And of course, in the country, in the country called the United States of America for the last 5 years, lying was elevated to the highest level of government. You didn't expect the leader of the free world to ever open his mouth and tell the truth. So lying became like, holy shit, I can lie. I don't, but I think that situation, the Fuhrer gave the impression that lying was now okay. Lying was now okay. And it's not. It's not. It's just not. I think it wears away at your soul if you are lucky enough to have one, which I think most everybody does.
Yeah.
Anyway, God forbid we get into politics.
Yeah. Yeah. We definitely don't want to get into that.
The first thing I did when I got out of rehab, I looked for people at the Whole Foods with the petition to legalize marijuana. Because when I was dealing and smoking, but once I got free of the addiction, I wanted to sign every petition I could. And I guess it worked, at least here in California. There's a pot shop. I can buy marijuana on any other corner in the city. It's incredible. It's one of the greatest, improvements in American life in the last 50 years. Women getting to vote, that was good. The end of slavery, women getting to vote. Homosexuality not being illegal anymore, gay marriage, and legal marijuana. It's like, this is the only, really, is one of the few improvements that has happened in this country in a long time. I guess the government got really tired of that war on drug people, the war on addicts. It was never a war on drugs. It was a war on drug addicts.
Yeah.
Who are the least among us, and who according to the great genius Dr. Gabor Mate, who says most habitual drug addicts experience serious trauma in their childhood. And serious punishment in their childhood. And what do you do? You
Punish them
more by locking them up. There's no way to run a civilized society. So maybe, with the good, with the bad, maybe we've become a little bit more civilized in the last few years. And hopefully eventually, I know it's up in front of Congress or the Senate to legalize marijuana on a federal level. It could happen this year.
Yeah, it could.
Federal level. And I remember Nevada, like 2 joints, you go away for 5 years. Nevada was very backwards that way.
Yeah.
But of course, you're in Utah, and I don't know what the marijuana laws were in Utah back when you were smoking on your way to work at the construction sites.
Usually back in those days, I know my ex-brother-in-law got busted. He was at an intersection and had one and lit one up, and there was a motorcycle cop just on the other side of the intersection and watched him light it up. And of course, he flipped around and pulled him over. But basically, back in those days, as long as you didn't have like a bunch on you, they would just take it from you and usually dump it out.
That's good.
But it's changed. And Janessa and I was just talking about that on a show a couple of weeks ago about how addicts and how we've been doing the same mistakes over and over and over for umpteen years, because it's not really the addiction that the problem is. And you just said it, Leonard. It's it's the trauma and it's the pain, the childhood trauma. Because some of the guests we've had on our show, oh my gosh, we've had women on our show who at such a young age have been sexually assaulted over and over. They've been raped or forced abortions, and there's been guys on the show who've also gone through,
Yeah.
sexual trauma or from a broken home or from a very strict home. And a lot of people don't realize that this is where the addiction is coming from. It's just the Band-Aid over the cut. That's where it's really bleeding, because there's something else bleeding inside of them, and all they're doing their best is just to stop the bleeding, and it helps them. It copes with them. And before they realize they're in so deep, it's really hard. So we're going to stop for another commercial break, and then we're going to come back and we're going to respect Leonard's time, and we're going to wrap this thing up. So Leonard, think of something that you'd like to share here at the end. And we definitely want to promote your book some more. So I've got my copy up here that I'm holding. Amazon. Okay.
Order today.
Yeah, order today. All right, guys, stay with us. We'll be right back.
Good morning, this is Leticia with Computer Hospital. We are your computer repair experts for both PC and Mac. We are your community resource for all of your computer repair needs. What makes us different is that we want to fix your computer. We also do free diagnostics. We charge a flat rate labor, which means that you won't pay by the hour. All of our computer repair is done in-house with a fast turnaround time, and same-day service is also available. Feel free to stop by anytime without an appointment. We're located in Sandy at 8721 South State Street. Again, that's 8721 South State Street. Or call us at 801-987-3993. Again, that's 801-987-3993. This is Leticia with Computer Hospital, and we look forward to seeing you soon.
Hello there, this is Brad Neufeld with the Resilience Talk Network, and I would like to introduce to you Taffytown, one of our newest sponsors. Let me introduce you to Derek.
Hi, I'm Derek from Taffytown. We're proud sponsors of the Other Side of Addiction podcast. Taffytown is a family-owned and operated business still operating in the Salt Lake City area for over 100 years. We manufacture some of America's best saltwater taffy.
What makes Taffytown stand out from all of the others?
We have a unique recipe, a whipped-style recipe that incorporates egg whites, evaporated milk, real sea salt. It's a unique product that is flavorful, melts in your mouth, and the best part is we probably have a flavor for anyone's liking, a flavor for any reason, for any season. We have unique flavors like chicken and waffles, maple bacon, frosted cupcake. New this year was a pineapple ghost pepper flavor.
That's awesome. Where can people find out more about Taffytown and all of its products?
You can check all of this stuff out. All of our products are available for sale on Taffytown.com. We ship for free from our website, so all of our pricing on there is shipping included. Oftentimes we offer special promotions and discounts to our loyal customers, so do be sure to sign up for an account, and we look forward to seeing what we can do to make you smile with our taffy.
Where are you located?
We are currently located at 9813 South Prosperity Road in West Jordan, Utah, just at the foothills of the Copper Canyon mine.
Derek, taffy has always been a great gift to give. What are some of the creative ways Taffytown can help say thank you to others?
Yeah, if you're looking for gift ideas, whether to say thank you to friends or family, or maybe to your clients after such a difficult or successful year that you've had, you could look no further than to get a gift idea from Taffytown.com. We offer pre-packaged gift boxes that say that it's saltwater taffy from the city of the Great Salt Lake, and it tells a little bit about the history of our community and making candy for so long. You can also do customized gifts to pick out just the right flavors or colors of candy for that special someone, and deliver even a personalized message in that box to them. So please feel free to check out Taffytown.com for any gift ideas this season.
Thank you so much, Derek. Please visit Taffytown.com, that's Taffytown.com, to find out more about the products and services that Taffytown offers. You won't be disappointed.
Do you know someone who's gambling with death due to an addiction? Do you know someone whose life is being turned upside down due to a loved one that's battling with addiction? Hi, I'm Al Richards. I am the host of the Other Side of Addiction podcast. I started the podcast due to my wife's battle with alcohol. Let's just say I became addicted to her addiction. Our podcast is helping people understand a little more about those who have battled addiction and those who are hurting from their addiction. Through raw vulnerability, we share stories that help uncover the root causes of addiction. Shame felt on both sides, matter of the conscious and subconscious mind, continued beliefs, and often confusing paths of recovery. We collaborate with real people and their stories, as well as licensed professionals, to help our audience gain a better understanding of addiction. You can find us on Resilience Talk Network. You can also find us on Facebook at Mr. Al Richards. That's Facebook at Mr. Al Richards. You can also find us on YouTube. Just look up the Other Side of Addiction podcast. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Other Side of Addiction. We're here with our special guest, Leonard Lee Buschel. Leonard, thank you so much. This episode, it's just been a pleasure and an honor to have you on the show with us today. And I love that you read that chapter. That was Janessa and I are both over here on the other side, just chuckling with some of the stuff that you say. Awesome. You've got one hell of a personality, and I love people with personalities. I mean, I just love it, because in my eyes, people who have such a cool personality like yourself, it really brings a lot of joy in life. I mean, it really does. You're a person that I could probably say, even though I've never met you in person except through a Zoom here, that you'd be someone I'd want to hang out with quite often, just so I could laugh.
Well, I know you must have a good reason to come to LA at some point.
Yeah. There you go. What was you going to say, Janessa?
I was just saying, I know the term authentic or authenticity gets kind of abused and thrown around lightly, but honestly, you're probably one of the most authentic people I've met. I love it.
Yeah, I would have to second.
Thank you. I used to do a lot of workshops with the poet Robert Bly, who passed away like a year or so ago. I remember doing a workshop with him in New York, and he asked the question. He says, hopefully everybody knows Robert Bly. If not, you should look him up. He said, what takes away your witch energy? This was 30 years ago. What takes away, that energy that you need, to protect your children or your home, or, what robs you of your witch energy? And my answer at the time was the police, because being a drug dealer, I could never really fully express myself anywhere, in public or in private, because there was always the specter of getting arrested.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was driving home from the rehab, I thought, wow, if I quit dealing forever, I can start to let me come out. Because, I drove a Volvo. I dressed very conservatively. The point of being a successful drug dealer is to keep a low profile.
Yeah.
And so by keeping a low profile, in fact, I thought I could walk through airports with a half a pound of Coke in my underwear and be invisible. My goal was to be invisible. And when that giving up that career stops, it was very hard for me to start a real recovery film festival 14 years ago. It was very hard for me to speak on camera or in front of an audience, because I had spent most of my life being invisible, where I felt very comfortable.
Interesting.
And so this is a little stressful for me. But and I think when you stop getting high, you have to, it's your own natural juices, your own enzymes, your own endorphin. It's just that needs to come forth, and also not be afraid of it's like the only people who can hurt me are people who can cost me money or break my legs. So you can be courageous if you don't, the old Bob Dylan line, when you got nothing to lose.
Yeah.
People threaten to sue me, and I say, I have a 8-year-old car, I live in an apartment, what are you going to sue me for? So I feel, I'm sure there'll be somebody out there now who'll sue me. No, please don't. But now I have a lot of money. So now I don't say anything. I have 13 minutes on. Okay. So the film festival, what I realized was that drugs, my new drug of choice was movies. When I left a rehab, I'd go like a week or two. And if I didn't go to a movie theater, I would get the spilkies. I'd get uncomfortable, irritable. But I go to a film in a theater where I recommend watching movies, don't watch Lawrence of Arabia on your phone. It just won't be the same. And I would go, and it would be like, that would calm me down. It would make me laugh. It would give me access to someone else's dream. And I talk a lot about the value of film and the miraculousness that film includes. Every art ever invented, you can find by going into a movie theater. So I started the Real Recovery Film Festival in Los Angeles. Initially it was it's a 7-day event, every October in LA, November in New York. We had a pivot to go online the last couple of years, obviously. We're back in LA live in October, on October 21st to the 27th. New York, we're not sure about this year again, but we've been in a number of cities around the country. If you contact me, I'll send you some coasters.
Okay.
Facebook, I love Facebook. And in fact, sometimes I even take out ads on Facebook for the film festival. I take out ads because I'm afraid that Mark Zuckerberg might be feeling a little financially, worried, insecurity. So love the Facebook. So we have a Real Recovery Facebook page, Leonard Buschel, Addiction Recovery E-Bulletin. Before we go, I want everybody to take a screenshot of what's behind me here. Addiction Recovery E-Bulletin. It's a weekly newsletter. It's 8.5 years old. It goes out every Tuesday morning at 9:05, which means it's a website that changes every Tuesday. All new articles about sobriety, about law, about addiction, about recovery. It's really fascinating, and a lot of health and wellness articles also. And the website is addictionrecoveryeBulletin.org. There's a little subscribe thing. It should be bigger, but hit subscribe and you'll get it every week. And I think you'll find it fascinating, helpful, and entertaining. So there's no time to talk about everything, but it's all online. I mean, I'm easy to find, for better or worse. I have nothing to hide. I have my license plate now is my last name. And when I told my mother, I said, Mom, I got my last name, our name, on my license plate. And she said, why would you do that? I said, because I'm not driving away from the scene of a crime every time I go out. Because when I was a drug dealer, I had the most complicated license plate, L529Z, something that no one could ever memorize.
Yeah.
Seeing it once. and now it's my last name. So
That's really
that's
cool.
part of the growing up process.
Yeah.
You know, own it and bone it. I mean, own it and whatever. I don't know what.
Whichever. And I'm glad that you brought that up,
Technology
Leonard.
makes me high, so I better get off soon.
Okay. All right. Last question here. So your mom knew that you were dealing drugs?
Yes,
Okay.
that's yes, she did.
Okay. I'm underlining the Real Recovery Film Festival because I definitely want to pull this stuff
When I
up.
came home from Israel and dumped out all the hash on the dining room table, she said something only a Jewish mother would say at that time. Are you hungry? And we ate.
And you ate.
So
Huh.
she was very hip. She was very hip.
It sounds
put it
like
that
it. It sounds like it. Well, and I would think that she would have to be,
And not a very good guardian. So that's the way it goes.
but she did the best she could with what she had,
All
right?
You're Al Roberts, right?
Al Richards.
Even
Yep,
better.
Richards. Yep.
And say your name again, madam. It's so beautiful.
Janessa.
And, yeah, nice. Okay.
Mhm.
Well, you too. When you get to LA, stop around.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Leonard, oh my gosh, thank you so much for your time. And thank you for reaching out to us. We're very honored and blessed to have you on the show with us today. So thank
I
you.
appreciate it. I'm very happy to be here for your 1-year anniversary. Have me back when you turn 2.
Okay,
Yes.
that sounds good because we will be turning 2, that's for sure.
We'll do the terrible 2s together.
All right. I love it. I love it.
Oh,
All right, my friend.
Bye, guys.
it's
you
been
take-
a pleasure.
Okay, you take care. Be good. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
So guys, we're gonna end the show. Thank you again to Leonard for, I mean, this was fun.
It was
This,
so fun.
yeah, I mean, we've had some fun shows, but I think this was like one of my favorites. This
Yeah.
was really good. Guys, again, thank you for all your support. Matter Behavior, thank you for your support. All our other sponsors, to all our listeners, to Brad Neufeld at Resilience Talk Network, all our guests that we have had on, all our guest co-hosts that we have had on. Just thank you so much for everything that you guys are doing and helping us build. We are really close to 200 subscribers,
That's so cool.
which I am really stoked about. I'm hoping we're going to hit 500 by the end of June. That was one of the goals. If not, it's okay, but we've got our goals and we're going to set it. One thing I'd like to ask all our listeners, when you guys see our show, do us a favor, share the show with at least one friend, at least with one. Just shoot it out and say, hey, I thought maybe you'd be interested in the show. Even if it's not the show that just came out, go through YouTube and pick a show that you really
So
liked.
many.
There are so many because there's some really good shows. Share it with a friend and ask them to subscribe. It really, really helps us out. That's one thing that I have been not doing on our shows is asking our audience to at least share. And I was at a podcast
I saw that at your last
event.
post.
Yeah. And it's like, you got to ask, right? You
Yeah.
got to ask. And again, we're successful because of you guys. I mean, really, it's because of our guests that are coming on, and it's to all our listeners. It's the only reason why we've actually made it a year is because of all you. If it wasn't for you guys, this probably still wouldn't be happening. So
Well, I love that all that's happened. I mean, I look at the past year and I mean, I came in shortly after you guys started and it's amazing how much it's helped and how much it's impacted people. And it's pretty incredible. I'm really excited to
is.
see the next year and the next year.
and we keep, it's like the George Jefferson show. We're moving on up. I mean, I came in the studio today and Brad had the studio just all torn up and we're changing things and we're constantly revolving, I guess you should say, that we're adjusting, doing different things. And we want to get this to a point to where, man, people are going to know who we are, and it's already starting to happen. And
It's really exciting.
it is exciting. And I'm getting really stoked and excited for our up and coming event, our Healing Utah Success Summit in St. George on August 20th. So guys, you will be seeing commercials coming up for that, and get you a ticket, $25 for a ticket.
Yeah.
Take off on a Thursday, go down for a little mini vacation down south, St. George. Yes, it is hot in August in St. George, but at the Dixie Convention Center is where we're going to be holding the event. But we are getting really, really excited. Mallory and Dave, we're just starting to get really stoked. And if you know anybody that would be interested in being a sponsor, we have 3 sponsor spots left. We've already filled all the other ones.
That's
So we had a total of 7. So that means we've got 4 spots filled and we've got 3 more. And tickets are selling. We're checking on it all the time, and we are selling tickets. So guys, check us out. Yeah, check us out. Thank you again for all your support. And Janessa, thank you, my dear, for traveling down here and being
This
with
is
us today.
awesome.
Yeah.
I'm so glad I made it for you. I wouldn't want to miss this for the world. So
Yeah, this was
awesome.
definitely a good show.
Yep.
All right, guys, we're going to end it like we do at the end of every show. Remember, addiction is giving up everything for one thing. Recovery is giving up one thing for everything. We're out.